The Great Hall of Nexus Prime Station buzzed with voices from across the galaxy. Representatives from hundreds of worlds sat in their designated areas, each group looking different from the others. Some had scales, others had tentacles, and a few were just glowing balls of light floating in special containers. Jihoon sat in the human section, which was much smaller than the others. His simple black suit looked plain next to the fancy robes and armor worn by other ambassadors. The humans had only been part of the Galactic Council for 50 years, and most aliens still saw them as children playing at politics. At the center of the hall stood Emperor Vorthak of the Kalith Empire. His body was made of living crystal that normally glowed with bright blue light, but today the crystal looked dull and gray. Dark cracks ran across his chest and arms like spiderwebs. The disease was eating him alive. Honored Council. Vorthak's voice echoed through the hall. Each word seemed to cost him great effort. My people are dying. The gray death spreads through our worlds like poison. Our greatest scientists cannot stop it. Our most powerful weapons cannot fight it. The Emperor's crystal body flickered weakly. We have served this galaxy for 3,000 years. We have fought in wars to protect smaller worlds. We have shared our technology and knowledge freely. Now we ask for help in return. A heavy silence filled the hall. Then Ambassador Lexithan of the Ethereal Collective spoke. His voice came from a floating sphere of pure energy. The Kalith are an old species. Perhaps it is time for newer forms of life to take your place. Evolution does not stop for sentiment. Angry growls came from the Kalith section, but Vorthak raised his hand for silence. His pride would not let him beg even though his people were dying. Representative Crix from the Zephyrian Trade Federation stood next. His green skin gleamed under the lights. The Trade Federation has studied this problem. The cost of developing a cure would be enormous. The profit potential is zero. We cannot justify such an expense to our shareholders. One by one, the major powers found reasons to refuse help. The Draconian Empire said they were too busy with border conflicts. The Aquatic Union claimed they had no experience with crystal-based life forms. The Silicon Mines calculated that the Kalith had a 97% chance of extinction within 2 years, making any aid pointless. Jihoon listened to each refusal with growing anger. He remembered the stories his grandmother had told him about the early days of human space travel. Stories that most humans had forgotten, but his family had kept alive. When the last major power finished speaking, Jihoon stood up. The action surprised everyone. Humans rarely spoke in council meetings. They usually just listened and voted with whatever the majority decided. I would like to speak, Jihoon said in careful galactic standard. His accent was thick and some of the words came out wrong, but everyone could understand him. Lexithan's energy sphere pulsed with what might have been amusement. The human wishes to contribute to this discussion? How interesting. Please tell us what wisdom your young species can offer. Jihoon walked to the center of the hall. His hands shook slightly, but his voice was steady. We cannot offer wisdom. We cannot offer advanced technology. But we can offer something else. We can offer to repay a debt. Confused murmurs filled the hall. Most aliens had no idea what the human was talking about. The Kalith Emperor tilted his crystal head, studying Jihoon with ancient eyes. 300 years ago, Jihoon continued, humans were new to space travel. Our ships were small and weak. We barely understood how to travel between stars. A human ship called the Pathfinder was caught in a solar storm near your territory. Emperor Vorthak. The old emperor's eyes widened slightly. He remembered. The ship was damaged. The crew was dying. Captain Yuna and her 23 people had no hope of survival. But a Kalith patrol found them. Your people could have ignored the primitive humans. You could have let them die in the cold of space. No one would have blamed you. Jihoon's voice grew stronger. But you did not. The Kalith brought the humans to their ship. They shared their food and water. They gave them medicine that saved their lives. They helped repair the Pathfinder so it could return home. And when Captain Yuna asked how she could repay this kindness, the Kalith commander said no payment was needed. He said helping others was simply the right thing to do. The hall was completely silent now. Even the translator devices seemed to be listening. Captain Yuna was my great-grandmother, Jihoon said. Before she died, she made me promise to remember this debt. She said that one day, humans would be strong enough to help the Kalith in return. That day has come. Ambassador Crix laughed, a sound like grinding metal. This is amusing, human. But what could your species possibly do that we cannot? Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your ships are slow and clumsy. Your weapons are primitive toys. Other aliens joined in the laughter. The idea that humans could solve a problem that had defeated the galaxy's greatest minds was ridiculous. But Emperor Vorthak was not laughing. He stared at Jehoon with something that might have been hope. "Human ambassador, do you truly believe your people can help us?" Jehoon nodded firmly. "I do not know if we can save your people, Emperor. But I know we must try. A debt of honor does not disappear just because time passes. If there is even a small chance that humans can help, then we will use every resource we have." The Emperor's crystal body flickered brighter for just a moment. "And if you fail? If you waste your resources on a hopeless cause? Then we will have tried," Jehoon said simply. "That is what honor means." Lexithan's energy sphere pulsed with irritation. "This is pointless sentiment. The humans have nothing to offer but noble words. Words will not cure the Grey Death." Jehoon turned to face the ethereal collective's representative. "You are right. Words alone will not save the Caliph, but humans have more than words. We have remembered our friends. We have prepared for this day, and we will show the galaxy what loyalty means." As Jehoon returned to his seat, he activated a small communication device hidden in his jacket. Across human space, ships began to move. Plans that had been waiting for centuries finally started to unfold. The laughter in the hall slowly died away as aliens noticed the quiet confidence in the human's manner. Something about his certainty made them uneasy. What did the humans know that they did not? Emperor Vorthak watched Jehoon sit down, and for the first time in months he felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride, staring at the orders that had arrived from Earth Command. After 20 years of commanding cargo runs and peaceful exploration missions, the sealed commands made no sense to him. "Load medical supplies for a plague we've never seen," he read aloud to his first officer, Thalman. "Atmospheric processors rated for crystal-based life forms, quantum drilling equipment, and enough food supplies for a year-long mission." He looked up from the data pad. "Soman, we're supposed to be a simple transport ship. Why do we need mining equipment?" Solman checked her own instruments. The chief engineer had been with Minho for 8 years, and she had never seen him look so confused. "Captain, the energy signatures don't match either. This equipment is drawing power like military-grade hardware, but the manifests say it's civilian gear." In the cargo bay, crew members carefully loaded containers marked with symbols that most aliens would not recognize. The writing was in Old Korean, and the containers held technology that had been hidden for generations. What looked like simple medical supplies contained quantum resonance scanners. The atmospheric processors had computational cores more advanced than anything the Galactic Council had seen. Dr. Haya Jin worked frantically in her laboratory 3 decks below. Officially, she was the ship's xenobiologist responsible for studying alien plant and animal life. But the samples in her lab had nothing to do with peaceful research. She held a small container of gray crystal fragments that had been secretly obtained from the Kaleth plague zone. Her research partner, Tae-hyun, watched her work with growing concern. "Hyejin, you've been at this for 16 hours straight. And this equipment, I've never seen analysis tools like these before." Yejin didn't look up from her microscope. The instrument was connected to devices that seemed to bend light around themselves. "The plague isn't biological, Tae-hyun. Look at these quantum readings. The Grey Death operates on frequencies that affect the crystal structure itself." "That's impossible," Tae-hyun said. "Crystals don't get sick. They're just organized rock formations." "Kaleth crystals aren't just rocks," Hyejin explained. She pointed to a display showing wave patterns that moved like living things. "They're quantum structures held together by harmonic frequencies. The plague disrupts those frequencies, causing the crystals to lose their energy and crack." Tae-hyun studied the data, and his eyes widened. "If that's true, then no biological cure will work. You'd need to counter the quantum disruption with precise quantum manipulation," Hyejin finished, "which is exactly what humans have been perfecting for 3 centuries. Across human space, similar scenes were playing out on dozens of ships and stations. The galaxy's intelligence networks, busy watching the major powers for signs of military buildup or political maneuvering, paid no attention to the increased activity in human territory. Humans were known for their industrial work. If they were moving more cargo ships and mining equipment, it was probably just another business venture. On mining station Tau 47, the workers had been told they were being transferred to new assignments, but instead of going to other mining sites, they had disappeared entirely. The station's massive excavation equipment had been powered down, and the entire facility had gone dark. To outside observers, it looked like humans had simply abandoned an unprofitable operation. The truth was very different. Inside the hollowed-out asteroid, Admiral Nari watched holographic displays that showed the real extent of human space capabilities. The mining station was actually the command center for operations that spanned half the galaxy. Report from Sector 7, her aide, Lieutenant Borum, announced. The atmospheric processors on Kelvin Prime and New Sol are operational and ready. The quantum particle network is at 60% coverage. Nari nodded, studying the tactical display. Red dots marked every major alien military installation within 500 light-years. Blue lines showed human trade routes that connected them all. Green markers indicated the locations of industrial equipment that was actually sophisticated technology disguised as simple tools. What about the Zephyrian patrols near the outer rim? Nari asked. Still treating our ships as routine cargo traffic, Borum replied. Their scans show exactly what we want them to see. Standard human industrial vessels with basic shielding and minimal weapons. The truth was far more complex. Every human ship that had traveled through alien space for the past century had been conducting detailed scans of military installations, fleet positions, and technological capabilities. The aliens saw polite human crews making honest trades. They didn't see the quantum sensors hidden inside cargo containers or the advanced computers disguised as simple navigation systems. On the bridge of the Sol's Pride, Captain Minho finally received an explanation for his strange orders. A priority message from Admiral Nari appeared on his secure communication screen. Captain, you are about to undertake humanity's most important mission, the Admiral's recorded image said. For 3 centuries we have prepared for the day when we could repay our debt to the Kaleth. That day has arrived. Minho exchanged glances with Soman. Both officers had heard the old stories about Captain Yuna and the Kaleth rescue, but they had assumed they were just legends. The equipment you carry is not mining gear, the Admiral continued. It is quantum manipulation technology that we have spent generations perfecting. While other species focused on energy weapons and faster-than-light travel, humans have mastered the art of manipulating matter at the quantum level. The message showed technical diagrams that made both officers stare in amazement. The atmospheric processors they had been selling to alien worlds for decades were actually quantum field generators. The mining equipment could reshape matter on a molecular level. The simple cargo containers contained computational systems more powerful than anything in the known galaxy. Your mission is to save the Kaleth Empire, Admiral Nari's message concluded. But more than that, your mission is to show the galaxy what humans are truly capable of. The age of hiding is over. Dr. He-Jin had made her breakthrough. The quantum signature of the Grey Death was complex, but it followed predictable patterns. More importantly, she had found a way to counter it using technology that humans had been developing for centuries. Taehyun, look at this, she said excitedly. The plague operates on 17 different quantum frequencies. But if we can generate counter-frequencies using quantum resonance beacons, the plague would lose its ability to disrupt the crystal structures. Taehyun finished.
Hyejin, this is brilliant.
But do we have the technology to generate such precise quantum fields? Hyejin smiled for the first time in days. We've had it for 200 years. We just told everyone it was mining equipment. Across the galaxy, the major powers continued their political games, unaware that everything was about to change. The ethereal collective plotted to expand their influence over lesser species. The Zephyrian Trade Federation calculated new profit margins from the chaos that would follow the Kaleth extinction. The other empires positioned themselves to claim Kaleth territory once the proud crystal beings were gone. None of them noticed the quiet human ships moving through their space. None of them realized that the helpful humans who had installed atmospheric processors on their worlds had actually placed quantum manipulation devices in strategic positions. None of them understood that the galaxy's most underestimated species had been preparing for this moment since their first contact with alien civilization. Emperor Vorthak sat in his crystal palace, feeling the Grey Death spread through his body. His advisors told him to prepare for the end. But somewhere in his ancient memory, he remembered a young human, captain named Yuna, who had promised that her People would never forget a kindness. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as humanity, prepared to step out of the shadows and change the galaxy forever. The soul's pride dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kaleth home system. Captain Minho had seen many alien worlds during his career, but Vorthon still took his breath away. The planet sparkled like a jewel, its surface covered with crystal cities that reached toward the sky like frozen music. But as they flew closer, the beauty became tragic. The crystal spires that should have glowed with brilliant blue light were turning gray and dull. Entire districts of the great cities looked like abandoned ruins, their crystal inhabitants too weak to maintain their homes. "Captain," Soman reported from her engineering station, "I'm reading massive structural damage throughout the planet's crystal networks. It's like watching a civilization slowly turn to stone." Minho nodded grimly. "Open a channel to the Imperial Palace. Request permission to land." The response came quickly, but the voice that answered sounded tired and defeated. "Human vessel, you are cleared to land at the palace landing platform. Emperor Vorthak will grant you an audience, though we do not understand why you have come to witness our final days." As their ship descended through Vorthon's atmosphere, the crew could see the Grey Death's progress across the planet's surface. Crystal forests that had grown for thousands of years were crumbling to dust. Great monuments built by ancient Kaleth artists were collapsing as their quantum foundations failed. Dr. Hyejin checked her equipment one final time. The quantum resonance beacons were ready, but she knew she would only get one chance to prove her theory. If she was wrong about the plague's nature, the Kaleth would die, and humanity would be seen as foolish children who had wasted everyone's time. The Imperial Palace was a wonder of crystal architecture that rose from the planet's surface like a mountain of living light. But even here, gray patches spread across the walls like a disease. Kaleth guards escorted the human delegation through corridors where the very air seemed heavy with despair. Emperor Vorthak waited in his throne room, a vast chamber with walls of pure crystal that had once reflected light in patterns of incredible beauty. Now the walls were dim and cracked, and the Emperor himself looked like a shadow of his former glory. The proud crystal being who had addressed the Galactic Council was barely holding himself together. "Humans," Vorthak said, his voice echoing strangely in the damaged chamber. "You have traveled far to see a dying empire. I hope the journey was worth your time." Captain Minho stepped forward and bowed in the Kaleth manner, his hands pressed together and his head lowered. "Emperor, we have come to honor an old debt. Our great-grandmother, Captain Yuna, promised that humans would remember your kindness. We are here to keep that promise." Vorthak's crystal eyes studied the small human delegation. "I remember Captain Yuna, a brave woman who commanded a ship made of metal and dreams. But human courage cannot cure the Grey Death. Our greatest scientists have tried everything." Dr. Hyejin moved to stand beside her captain. "Emperor, may I show you what we have learned about your plague?" She activated a portable display unit that projected holographic images into the air above them. The images showed the quantum patterns she had discovered in her laboratory, the frequencies that were destroying the Kaleth crystal structure. "The Grey Death is not a biological disease," she explained in careful galactic standard. "It is a quantum virus that disrupts the harmonic frequencies that give your crystal bodies their life force. Biological medicine cannot fight it because it attacks the quantum foundation of your very existence." The Emperor leaned forward, his ancient eyes studying the display with growing interest. "Your theory is interesting, human scientist. But if this is true, then the plague is even more hopeless than we thought. No known technology can manipulate quantum fields with the precision needed to counter such an attack." Hyejin smiled, and for the first time since entering the throne room, she looked confident. "No known technology, Emperor. But humans have been developing quantum manipulation for 3 centuries. What the galaxy sees as our crude industrial equipment is actually sophisticated quantum engineering." She gestured to Somin, who activated a communication device. "Chief Engineer Somin will now demonstrate what human mining equipment can really do." Throughout the human ships in orbit, quantum resonance beacons began to activate. The devices that had been labeled as atmospheric processors and mining tools revealed their true nature. Energy patterns invisible to normal sensors began to spread across the planet's surface. In the throne room, the change was immediate and dramatic. The gray patches on the crystal walls began to slow their spread. Then incredibly they began to retreat. The dull gray color that had marked the plague's advance started to change back to the brilliant blue of healthy Calith crystal. Emperor Vorthak rose from his throne, his eyes wide with amazement. His own body, which had been weak and cracked just moments before, began to glow with renewed strength. The quantum frequencies that had been disrupted by the plague were being restored by the human technology. "Impossible," he whispered. "How can you do this?" Captain Minho stepped forward. "For 300 years, humans have been preparing for this day. While other species developed energy weapons and faster ships, we focused on understanding and controlling the quantum forces that hold matter together. We have built our entire civilization around quantum manipulation technology." Dr. Heejin continued the explanation. "Every atmospheric processor we have sold to alien worlds contains quantum field generators. Every mining operation we have conducted has been practice for this moment. Every piece of industrial equipment we have placed throughout the galaxy is actually a component in a vast quantum manipulation network." As they spoke, reports began coming in from across the planet. The quantum resonance beacons were working beyond their best hopes. The Grey Death was not just being stopped, it was being completely reversed. Caleth citizens who had been near death were recovering their strength. Crystal cities that had been crumbling were rebuilding themselves as their quantum foundations were restored. Emperor Vorthak walked to a window that looked out over his capital city. The view that had been gray and dying just an hour before was now blazing with blue crystal light. The sounds of celebration began to echo through the streets as his people realized they were being saved. "Captain Minho," the Emperor said, his voice filled with wonder. "Dr. Heejin, your people have given us our lives back. How can we ever repay such a gift?" Minho exchanged glances with his crew. They all knew that this was the moment that would change everything. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were really capable of. "Emperor," Minho said carefully, "there is something else you should know. The technology we use to save your people. It is installed throughout the galaxy. The atmospheric processors on hundreds of worlds, the mining equipment in thousands of systems, the quantum scanning devices we have placed in strategic locations. They are all connected." The implications of his words sank in slowly. Emperor Vorthak turned from the window to stare at the humans with new understanding. "You mean that you could do this to other worlds? Other species?" "The technology exists," Dr. Heijin confirmed. "What saved your people could also be used in other ways. The same quantum manipulation that healed your crystals could disrupt technology, disable ships, or even affect biological processes." The throne room fell silent as everyone realized what had just been revealed. The humans had not just saved the Caleth Empire. They had demonstrated that they possessed the most powerful technology in the known galaxy, hidden beneath the appearance of simple industrial equipment. Emperor Vorthak looked at each human in turn, seeing them with completely new eyes. "The galaxy has underestimated your species." "Yes," Captain Minho agreed. "They have, but we did not reveal our capabilities to threaten anyone. We revealed them to honor a debt and save our friends." The Emperor's crystal form blazed brighter than it had in years. "Then the Caleth Empire is honored to call humanity our allies. And perhaps it is time for the rest of the galaxy to learn what it means to have the humans as friends. Or enemies." Outside the palace, the crystal cities of Vorthon sang with renewed life, their harmonic frequencies creating music that had not been heard for months. But across the galaxy, intelligence networks were beginning to notice unusual energy signatures from human space. The age of human secrecy was ending, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble at what was coming next. The news spread through galactic communication networks like wildfire. The Caleth Empire, which had been declared doomed by every major power in the galaxy, was completely healed. Their crystal cities glowed brighter than they had in centuries, and Emperor Vorthak himself appeared healthier and stronger than anyone had seen him in decades. But the shocking part was not that the Caleth had been saved. The shocking part was who had saved them. On the ethereal homeworld of Lumina, the collective's greatest minds gathered in their council chamber. The room was filled with floating spheres of pure energy, each one representing a consciousness that had transcended physical form thousands of years ago. They considered themselves the galaxy's most advanced intelligence, and they were deeply disturbed by what they had learned. "The data makes no sense," pulsed Lexton, his energy signature flickering with confusion. The human technology readings show quantum manipulation on a scale we have never achieved. Yet our observations of human civilization show only primitive industrial equipment. Another consciousness, Veltar, shared her analysis with the group. I have reviewed 3 centuries of contact with the human species. Every interaction shows them as peaceful traders and simple workers. Their ships are slow, their weapons are basic, and their technology appears to be centuries behind our own. Then how did they cure the Grey Death? Demanded Zephyra, her energy form burning brighter with frustration. Our most advanced quantum scientists declared it impossible. The precision required to counter those plague frequencies should be beyond any known technology. The collective decided to investigate directly. A fleet of their most sophisticated science vessels departed for human space, equipped with sensors that could analyze technology down to the quantum level. What they discovered made them wish they had never looked. The human atmospheric processor on the colony world of New Terra was not what it appeared to be. When the collective's scientists scanned it with their most advanced equipment, they found quantum field generators that were more sophisticated than anything in their own technology database. The device was capable of manipulating matter and energy in ways that should have been impossible. Even worse, the atmospheric processor was not alone. As the collective's ship scanned deeper, they discovered that every piece of human equipment in the system was connected to a vast network. Mining stations, cargo ships, communication relays, and even simple weather monitoring satellites all contained hidden quantum manipulation technology. On the Zephyrian homeworld of Proficia, Admiral Wanbin studied intelligence reports with growing alarm. The Trade Federation had built their empire on superior technology and strategic positioning. Their biomechanical ships were faster than anything else in the galaxy, and their weapons could destroy entire fleets. But the reports about human capabilities made him question everything he thought he knew. Admiral, his intelligence officer, Commander Yeji, reported with barely controlled panic. We have completed our analysis of human shipping routes. Every trade agreement they have made, every cargo delivery they have completed, every mining operation they have conducted. They form a strategic network that covers 70% of known space. Wanbin studied the tactical display that showed human positions throughout the galaxy. What had looked like random commercial activity was actually a carefully planned web of strategic placement. Human equipment was positioned at every major trade route, near every important military installation, and on every world that mattered to galactic politics. How long have they been building this network? Wanbin asked. 3 centuries, sir, since their first contact with galactic civilization. Every polite human trader who asked permission to install atmospheric equipment or set up mining operations was actually placing strategic assets. The Admiral felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature in his command center. What kind of strategic assets? Commander Yeji's voice was barely above a whisper. If the quantum technology they use to save the Caleth can be weaponized, sir, they could disable every ship in the Zephyrian fleet without firing a shot. Our biomechanical technology depends on quantum energy matrices. If humans can manipulate quantum fields, Wanbin did not need her to finish the sentence. The Trade Federation's greatest strength had become their greatest weakness. On Nexus Prime, emergency sessions of the Galactic Council convened almost continuously. Representatives who had laughed at Ambassador Ji-hoon just days before now demanded answers about human intentions. The species that they had dismissed as simple and harmless had revealed capabilities that terrified the galaxy's greatest powers. Crix of the Trade Federation slammed his scaled fist on his delegation's table. The humans have been lying to us for 3 centuries. Every treaty we signed, every trade agreement we approved, every permission we granted for their equipment installations, we were helping them build a weapon pointed at our own hearts. The Draconian Empire's representative, General Thane, growled his agreement. My people have been monitoring human ships in our territory for decades. We thought they were harmless cargo vessels. Now we discover they have been conducting detailed scans of our military installations and fleet positions. Ambassador Lexithon floated in the center of the chamber, his energy form pulsing with agitation. The collective has analyzed human technology that we previously ignored as primitive industrial equipment. The quantum manipulation capabilities they possess exceed our own by orders of magnitude. We have been living next to a sleeping giant. From his seat in the human section, Ambassador Ji-hoon listened to the accusations with calm patience. When the other representatives finally stopped shouting long enough for him to speak, he stood slowly and walked to the center of the chamber. "Honored delegates," he said in his careful galactic standard, "you seem upset by recent events. Perhaps you could explain why saving the Kaleth Empire is cause for alarm." Crix pointed an accusing finger at the human ambassador. "Do not pretend innocence. Your people have been deceiving the entire galaxy. You have hidden your true capabilities while placing weapons throughout our space." Jihoon tilted his head slightly as if considering the accusation. "What weapons? We used our technology to heal the sick. We saved a dying civilization. How does this threaten you?" "Because," General Thane snarled, "the same technology that healed the Kaleth could destroy the rest of us. You have quantum manipulation devices positioned throughout the galaxy." "Yes," Jihoon agreed simply. "We do." The admission sent shockwaves through the chamber. No one had expected the human to confirm their fears so directly. "We have spent 3 centuries preparing for the day when we could repay our debt to the Kaleth," Jihoon continued. "That required us to develop certain capabilities. It also required us to position our technology strategically throughout the galaxy." Lexthan's energy form flared brighter. "Strategically positioned for what purpose?" Jihoon was quiet for a long moment, and when he spoke, his voice carried a weight that had not been there before. "For defense. For 300 years, we have watched the major powers of this galaxy. We have seen how you treat species you consider weak or unimportant. We have seen worlds conquered, civilizations enslaved, and entire species driven to extinction by those who possessed superior technology." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives who had never considered humans worthy of their attention. "We are not the Kaleth," Jihoon said quietly. "We will not die quietly when stronger powers decide we are no longer useful. We have ensured that attacking humanity would cost more than any potential benefit." The chamber erupted in angry voices, but Admiral Nari's voice cut through the chaos from the human communication system. "This is Admiral Nari of the Human Defense Fleet." Her words echoed through the hall. "All human personnel are to return to human space immediately. The Galactic Council has 48 hours to decide whether humanity will be treated as an equal partner in this galaxy or as a threat to be eliminated. Choose carefully. We have very long memories and we always repay our debts." As the transmission ended, representatives throughout the chamber realized that everything had changed. The galaxy that had existed for thousands of years, with its established power structures and accepted hierarchies, was over. The humans had been hiding in plain sight, building capabilities that could reshape the balance of power across known space. Now they were stepping out of the shadows, and every major civilization had to decide whether to accept them as equals or face them as enemies. Outside the station, long-range sensors detected energy signatures throughout the galaxy as human equipment that had been dormant for centuries began to activate. The quiet species that no one had taken seriously was revealing its true nature. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as the galaxy prepared for a new age of uncertainty and fear. The ethereal collective struck first, believing their superior technology would give them a quick victory. Their most powerful cyber warfare systems launched coordinated attacks against Earth's communication networks, designed to blind and isolate the human homeworld before the primitives could respond. The attack lasted exactly 17 seconds. On Lumina, the Collective's War Council watched in horror as their assault programs were not just blocked, but completely absorbed by Earth's defense systems. Worse, the human network seemed to learn from the attack, using the Collective's own intrusion methods to map their entire data infrastructure in real time. Impossible. Lexthan pulsed, his energy form flickering with disbelief. Our cyber systems are quantum encrypted with algorithms that took us millennia to develop. How did primitive human computers counter them so easily? The answer came in the form of a simple message that appeared on every collective communication device simultaneously. "Thank you for the network map. We will make good use of it. Admiral Nari, Human Defense Fleet." 3 Zephyrian battle fleets moved toward human colonies in the Outer Rim systems, intending to demonstrate that superior firepower could still overcome clever technology. Admiral Wanbin commanded the operation personally, leading 12 of the Trade Federation's most advanced warships. The human colonies appeared defenseless. Their orbital platforms showed no weapon signatures, and the few human ships in the area were clearly civilian cargo vessels. It looked like an easy victory that would restore Zephyrian prestige and remind the galaxy that military might still mattered. The Zephyrian ships began experiencing problems as soon as they entered the outer system. At first, it was minor issues: navigation computers requiring resets, weapon targeting systems showing slight errors. But as they moved closer to the human worlds, the problems multiplied rapidly. Chief Tactical Officer Jinsu watched from the bridge of the human vessel Busan's Resolve as the mighty Zephyrian fleet began to fall apart. The atmospheric processors that humans had, installed on Zephyrian worlds decades ago, had been quietly releasing quantum particles into their atmospheres, particles that were completely harmless to organic life but devastating to the biomechanical systems that powered Zephyrian technology. Admiral Wanbin, Jinsu's calm voice reached the Zephyrian flagship through standard communication channels. You should order your ships to retreat now. The quantum particle contamination in your systems will cause cascade failures in your biomechanical components within the next 6 minutes. Wanbin's angry response crackled with static as his ship's communication systems began to degrade. You dare threaten the Zephyrian Navy? We have enough firepower to glass your entire colony. Admiral, Jinsu replied patiently. We have not threatened you. We are simply explaining why your ships are dying. The atmospheric processors we installed on your worlds 50 years ago have been preparing for this day. Every Zephyrian ship carries quantum particles from your own atmosphere. When exposed to our resonance fields, those particles disrupt your biomechanical systems. One by one, the Zephyrian warships began to lose power. Their proud vessels, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, drifted helplessly as their own technology turned against them. The Admiral's flagship was the last to fall silent, its biomechanical core shutting down as quantum contamination reached critical levels. The human rescue ships that arrived to collect the stranded Zephyrian crews were the same primitive cargo vessels that the aliens had dismissed as harmless. But now the Zephyrians could see the quantum field generators hidden beneath simple metal plating, the advanced scanning arrays disguised as navigation equipment, and the reality of what humanity had built while pretending to be weak. On Vorthon, Emperor Vorthak made an announcement that echoed through crystal cities that now blazed with renewed life. The Kaleth Empire, grateful for their salvation and awed by what they had witnessed, formally allied with humanity. Their ancient warrior traditions and advanced crystal technology would be joined with human quantum engineering, creating a partnership more powerful than either species could achieve alone. For 3,000 years, the Emperor declared, the Kaleth have honored strength and courage above all else. Today we have seen both qualities in the humans who saved us. Let all the galaxy know that the Kaleth stand with our rescuers. But it was the intelligence data that the Kaleth shared that truly changed everything. For millennia, their crystal networks had observed and recorded military movements throughout the galaxy. Their perfect memory crystals contained detailed information about every fleet position, every strategic weakness, and every secret that the major powers thought was hidden. Captain Yunbi of Human Intelligence analyzed the data with growing amazement. The Kaleth had unknowingly gathered the most complete intelligence database in galactic history. Combined with the information that human ships had collected during centuries of innocent trading missions, humanity now possessed real-time tactical knowledge about every major military force in known space. The final confrontation came when Admiral Nari addressed the Galactic Council through quantum transmission, her image appearing simultaneously in every council chamber on every major world and in every fleet command center throughout the galaxy. Leaders of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice carrying across light years without delay. You have demanded to know human intentions. You have accused us of deception and threatened us with war. Now you will learn the truth. The holographic display behind her showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with human positions marked in blue. The assembled aliens gasped as they realized the true extent of human presence. There was not a single strategically important system that did not contain human technology. For 3 centuries, Admiral Nari continued, humanity has prepared for this moment. We have watched your civilizations, studied your weaknesses, and positioned ourselves to defend against any threat. We did this not to conquer, but to ensure our own survival. The display changed, showing historical records of galactic conflicts, Species after species had been conquered, enslaved, or destroyed by more powerful neighbors. The pattern was clear and terrifying. "We learned from your history," Nari said. "We saw what happened to species that trusted in the mercy of stronger powers. We decided that humanity would never be helpless again." Ambassador Jihoon spoke from his position in the council chamber. "We did not seek to deceive you. We sought to survive. Every trade agreement we signed, every mining operation we established, every piece of equipment we installed, we were building the capability to defend ourselves." General Thane of the Draconian Empire leaned forward in his chair. "And now? What do you intend to do with this power?" Nari's expression softened slightly. "That depends on you. Humanity offers the galaxy a choice. You can accept us as equal partners, with the same rights and respect given to any major power. Or you can continue to see us as primitives to be ignored or threats to be eliminated." "And if we choose the second option?" asked Crix of the Trade Federation, though his voice lacked its usual arrogance. "Then you will learn why the stars shudder in fear," Nari replied quietly. "We have spent 3 centuries learning your weaknesses, studying your technology, and positioning ourselves throughout your territory. Every atmospheric processor can become a weapon. Every mining station can disrupt your communications. Every piece of equipment we have placed can be turned against you." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had not just hidden their capabilities, they had placed themselves in position to cripple every major power simultaneously. "But," Jihoon added, standing once again in the center of the chamber, "we do not wish to be your enemies. We wish to be your partners. The same technology that could destroy you can also heal, as we proved with the Kaleth. The same capabilities that could cripple your fleets can also protect the galaxy from external threats." Emperor Vorthak's crystal form appeared on the council's main display. Speaking from his throne room on Vorthon, "The Kaleth can confirm that humanity's offer is genuine. They could have demanded payment for saving us. They could have claimed our territory or enslaved our people. Instead, they asked only for friendship and alliance." The debate that followed lasted for hours, but the outcome was inevitable. Faced with the choice between accepting humanity as an equal or facing a war they could not win, the major powers chose pragmatism over pride. The Galactic Council's final resolution was historic. Humanity was granted full membership with all the rights and privileges of a major power. Trade agreements were renegotiated as partnerships between equals. Military cooperation treaties were signed to ensure that human technology would protect all Council worlds from external threats. But the real change was in how the galaxy viewed the quiet species from the small blue world. Never again would humans be dismissed as primitive or harmless. Never again would their polite requests be ignored or their capabilities underestimated. As Ambassador Jihoon returned to his seat after the final vote, he reflected on his great-grandmother's promise. Captain Yuna had sworn that humanity would repay the Kaleth's kindness, but she had also ensured that humans would never again be as helpless as her crew had been in that solar storm centuries ago.